Often, down to the limitations of not having yet built my working Star Trek teleporter, my interviews, most of them, happen thanks to that thing called Zoom that we all thought, prior to the dark ages of 2020, was something only people in offices used. But today I'm walking and talking in London with Wayne Crichlow. We're in carnival mode, talking about the biggest street photography story in London with one particular exchange I wasn't expecting. Slight spoiler, so my poem from the path has to be something carnival-led, surely.
August sunlight settles over Ladbroke Grove. Before you see carnival, you hear it. The bass line rolling through the streets, still pans catching the morning air. Soca calling people together. From Kensal Road to Power Square, colour moves like a tide. Feathers, flags, laughter. Stories carried across an ocean, retold in the heart of London.
So yes, Wayne Crichlow, a London-based photographic storyteller, is my guest. No letters today. Just me, Wayne, some unexpected guests, and some journal entries as we walk. That's what I'm starting to call them now. Those pieces where I say, back to Studio Neil. I've started to note them all down like small journal pieces, since often we've started talking more often about how important writing is to the creative process. There's been for a while, I suppose, 6 years or so, written scripts and notes, but now there's actually a journal building out of this show. So journal entries today, those pieces just to fill in the gaps as we go along through the story. I know, pups, you're not involved. You're not involved in this today. Disappointing, I know, but that will be your only appearance in this show today. I'll tell you more about Wayne in a moment. First, though, my thanks to Art Helper, because, with the patrons, who will never know just how much of a difference you really do make, and Silver Grain Press, they are, as the song goes, the reason we can make these walks week after week.
My sincere thanks to those who help keep this show on the path each week, including our friends at arthelper.com. Have you ever wondered what it might be like to actually sell some of the amazing pictures you make? Making photographs, of course, is the enjoyable bit. We're all agreed on that, right? But then comes the part most of us put off. Writing the Instagram post, updating the website, sending the newsletter, finding the words to explain why a picture matters, and that's where Art Helper comes in. The clue is in the name. Upload your photograph and in moments it can write social posts, newsletters and website copy that actually sounds like you. No staring at a blinking cursor wondering where to begin, just a head start. It's becoming much more than a writing tool as well. Art Helper is a place where you can keep your portfolio together, and if you're thinking, well, yeah, I could sell some of this, create realistic wall mock-ups of your work, connect with other artists in a like-minded community, and build your creative life in one place. And if you're worried about AI using your pictures for training, don't be. Art Helper's Art Protection Guarantee means your images are never used to train AI models. And can you tell me which other platforms are promising you that kind of behaviour? You can try it for free, and if you use the code Photowalk, you'll get 30 days off the pro version on them. Just head to arthelper.com, there's a link on the show page, and my thanks to Art Helper for supporting this podcast.
Right, just to tell you who Wayne Crichlow is before we start the show proper, Notting Hill Carnival is one of those events that's, I would imagine it's hard to describe properly unless you've been stood right in the middle of it. Every August bank holiday, more than 1 million people gather on the streets of West London for what's become Europe's largest street festival. The soundtrack is calypso, soca, reggae, dub, steel pan. In the past, and still now, other forms of music too. The air is filled with the aroma of Caribbean food. I'm feeling hungry already. The colours are impossible to ignore. They are a photographic dream, and for a couple of days, that part of the city that we're going to talk about moves to an entirely different beat, a different rhythm, a different feeling. If you're listening from another country, which is plausible, seeing that half of the audience are outside the UK, you might be wondering why this all matters. The answer is that the Notting Hill Carnival is far more than just a British celebration. It grew from Caribbean traditions, brought to London, and has become one of the world's greatest expressions, I would imagine, of Caribbean culture outside the islands themselves. It's a story of identity, resilience, family music, community. Even if you've never set foot in London, you'll recognise these themes, of course. For many people, Carnival, as it's simply known, has become part of their own story. They return year after year after year, and their relationship with it changes over time, as I learned from Wayne Crichlow, my guest. Now, Wayne has experienced Carnival from more than one perspective. He first knew it as a performer, he's been a reveller, and today as a photographer. Although I get this feeling, and you'll probably get this too as we go through the interview, that I think you could probably attach reveller stroke photographer in there. And as I hinted, there is a part of today's show where we have some unexpected guests who I think may say a few things that will not necessarily be music to everybody's ears, but speak to truth as those behind the event see it. So, this is a walking episode today with Wayne Crichlow, one half of the creative team behind a very special book we're going to talk about, Carnival of Resistance.
From the #1 station, this is a story about love, a love story.
So Wayne, is this your stamping ground as such?
Well, this is my stamping ground for the last 9-10 years as a photographer. As a human being, a little bit longer than that, because I used to come to this part of West London every August bank holiday, mainly as a reveller at the Notting Hill Carnival. So I was here when I was 17, 18 years old, and then eventually, as I said, like 10 years ago, I ended up documenting it.
So really the carnival meant more to you as you called it, reveller, than it did as a photographer to start with?
Yeah, it did, because I was a young teenager living my life, getting drunk and rum punch and dancing and all those kind of things. And also as well, it was important to me, being from a Caribbean background, to be in touch with the whole of the Caribbean culture, which kind of was the epicenter here when my parents came over from the West Indies in the late 50s, early 60s. What I find was really interesting, I said to my mum and dad, why did you end up flying to England and build and buying a house in East London? Why wasn't it in West London, a nice big house like this? For whatever reason. I don't know why I would say that.
The difference between now and then, this is all gentrified now, isn't it?
Oh, it's completely gentrified. If you can imagine, if you can wind the clock back to the late 50s, most of these were squats and it was hard to get people out of them. But if you prove that you can look after the place, you almost by default owned it. But look at it now, I don't think anybody can afford to live here. They're all multi-million pound houses around here.
Yeah.
But this completely transforms on bank holiday weekends. All the residents here, all these cars you see out on the road, I don't know what happens to them, whether they just get clamped and towed away, or people just think, actually, I'm going to go on holiday and drive off somewhere and let the carnival have my front of my house. So I think that's what happens over the bank holiday.
I know you're a big fan of Charlie Phillips, aren't you? He's one of your inspirations. I interviewed Charlie about, it must be nearly 4 years ago. Charlie famously doesn't, or didn't anyway, do a lot of interviews.
Yeah.
And I don't know,
private.
I must have just got to him on the right day. And his agent as well
because he had an agent.
Right, okay. The gatekeeper.
The gatekeeper said to him, "No, you're not doing that interview." And he said, "No, I've invited him over now." He invited me over to his allotment to help him dig his potatoes.
And was it a good crop?
Well, I've no idea. I don't know how good I was at... After a while, he gave up with me digging, and we just sat down and talked.
Speaks for itself then, doesn't it? Yeah, that's good. Focus on the photography and stop digging up spuds, yeah.
But his story is electric, isn't it? Charlie Phillips.
Absolutely. He is the eyes, the storyteller. I'm going to use this word storyteller a lot in this conversation, but very much so, and documented this community with such sincerity, with such authenticity, that you can look back at these images now and be teleported back to some of his classic images and feel. It's very visceral and feel that you're there.
Before I return to my conversation with Wayne Crichlow, he mentions the photographer Charlie Phillips during the conversation there, so I thought a page from the journal about Charlie's work. He was born in Jamaica and came to Britain in the 1950s as part of the Windrush generation, people who travelled from the Caribbean to help rebuild the country after the Second World War. He picked up a camera and began photographing the London he knew around him. Not the London of postcards, families, friends, musicians, neighbours and communities finding their place in a changing city. Later on, he also documented Notting Hill Carnival as it grew into the celebration we know today. For many years, though, Charlie felt his work wasn't given the recognition it deserved. While other photographers found themselves hanging on gallery walls or filling the pages of history books, Charlie often felt overlooked. Thankfully, that's begun to change, and today his photographs are rightly recognised as an important part of Britain's social history. But if Wayne's mention of Charlie has sparked your curiosity, well, I have something for you on this week's Extra Mile. I've gone back into the Photowalk archive and re-edited a conversation I recorded with Charlie Phillips when I went to visit him in London. I'll tell you more about that before the end of today's show.
So I looked to him, and another document, Ernest Cole, is another one as well. It's a way how those photographers see their community through their eyes and through their lens, in such a way that it's not pretentious. It's not straight off of Nat Geo or something like that. It's very much raw in some cases, which I think is what's needed to show life as it is.
His pictures of the mangrove, is it Mangrove
Nine?
Yeah.
Yep.
In particular, very potent.
Very, very potent. And fun fact, actually, I share the same surname as Frank Crichlow, who was one of the Mangrove Nine and one of the early founders of Notting Hill Carnival some 60 odd years ago here. And I also found out that my dad shares the same name, Frank Crichlow, but that's as far as the similarities go. My parents are from Barbados. Frank Crichlow, the originator of Notting Hill Carnival, was from Trinidad. I know the islands are very close, but yeah, very interesting.
We should probably fill the gap, actually, or the gaps on the Mangrove Nine.
Right, okay, the Mangrove Nine kind of sprung out of mainly Frank Crichlow had a little West Indian restaurant. It was a meeting place for the community that came over, the Windrush generation that came over at the time, and there you can sit, you can drink, you can eat Caribbean foods, you can play your dominoes and just kind of enjoy home away from home. But the hassles that they had back then from the police, and especially from racism, was quite potent. It was something that caused friction in the community. Frank Crichlow specifically was shut down a number of times with police raids, and eventually what happened was that the Mangrove Nine, which also not just Frank but a couple of activists that were amongst him as well, were taken to court. And there was a huge court case that was played out to actually convict these revellers, who did have a big protest, which all got very animated at the time. So it was off the back of that protest they went to court, and I think it was a landmark case came out of that eventually, was that, you know, the judge did actually rule in the Mangrove Nine's favour, and there was an acknowledgement, not really a direct acknowledgement, but there was an acknowledgement of some kind that racism did play, or prejudice did play a part in the role with some of the harassment that they was going through at the time.
Rothwell Kentish, Roden Gordon, Radford Darkus Howe, Godfrey Millett, Frank Crichlow, Barbara Beese, Anthony Carlisle Innes.
Those names you've just heard belong to the 9 people who found themselves at the centre of one of the most significant race relations trials in modern British history. The Mangrove wasn't simply a Caribbean restaurant on All Saints Road. It became a place where people met and shared ideas, found support and built this community. But it also found itself under extraordinary scrutiny, as you've heard. Between January 1969 and July 1970, police raided the Mangrove 12 times. And on every occasion, they left without finding evidence of criminal activity. Eventually, members of the local community took to the streets in protest, and 9 people were arrested. And the trial that followed lasted 55 days, a landmark case with a judge acknowledging there was evidence of racial prejudice in the policing of the case. The Mangrove Nine didn't create Notting Hill Carnival, and Carnival isn't defined by the trial. But both belong to the same story of a community finding its voice, determined that its culture, identity and contribution to Britain would be seen, heard and remembered.
We met up a moment ago at the Tabernacle. What way do we go? Straight on or left?
Straight on.
Straight on.
Yeah.
We met up at the Tabernacle, and that's an important venue for all sorts of reasons. Actually, I was looking at some of the history of who's played at the Tabernacle. It's a real eclectic bunch, isn't it?
It is, absolutely.
Including styles of music.
Yeah, different styles of music. It's ranging from reggae, ska to I think punk as well. Different styles of music.
I got it right that the Stones played there, or have I got that wrong?
I think I heard that as well. Probably a little bit before my time, or your time.
Yeah, before my time. Thank you, Wayne. I mean, I know who they are.
I do as well.
I get this thing with my sons when I say to them, you know, have you heard of so? No, who's that?
Oh, I get that.
You know,
I get that. Can you get it on Spotify? Well, you might be able to do that. But yeah, so the Tabernacle is it's the hub.
Is it this way or that way?
We can go left. It takes us to the Tabernacle, or we could just carry on left and go straight down there. Actually, got people drilling in the background. So I hope it's not a dentist.
It's all real.
It's all real. It's all real. Nobody's screaming yet. Yeah, so the Tabernacle is more recently has become a community hub. I know they run a number of different community-led courses in here. Some of them is sound recording or sound engineering is run here as well, for the young people in the community that are interested in that. Some small little exhibitions, and it's also the nerve centre of the organisers of the Notting Hill Carnival, who no doubt will be really busy over the next few days, because this is the big 60th anniversary of the inception of the Notting Hill Carnival.
It's going to be massive, this one, isn't it?
Absolutely.
I think everybody always says every year it's going to be massive, this one, but I think this is.
Yeah, I mean, they get larger and larger and larger every year that I come to them. Apart from that little pause where there was something happened. I think what's kind of changed my outlook and the way how I document the carnival, especially over the last few years, is through the relationships I've built with the organisers and some of the sound systems, is to get all access to all areas. So you'll find me actually on the floats, at the top of the floats, taking shots of the procession and the performers who are following the floats. You find me in the middle of the performers, and they just go around me, and so I take a lot of images around there. So I'm quite privileged, and also as well the panorama competition that happens over at Horniman's Place as well. There's a large stage area there where there's all the judging, where all the steel pans come out and they have a little bit of a playoff. So getting access, backstage access, and getting to see some of the behind the scenes, which is what I've been doing quite recently, is showing people who view my images, actually these are the unsung heroes. These are the guys that put the sound systems together, catering, building the stage and the whole machinery around all that, as well as the individual performers, the practicing that goes on before the big day, etc. And I think that's quite important to kind of show the full story.
The whole story. This is probably, before we move on to talk about the book and your photography and working around the carnival itself, it's probably, since we're mentioning music, a good opportunity to mention Closer Than Close.
Yeah.
Because you've had your own infamous brush with musical fame.
Yeah, I did, and quite funny enough, I was digging around and under my stairs, rifling past some shoes which I forgot I bought years ago, to find a box of artefacts of some PR material from when Lynn Franks used to be our representative.
Lynn Franks, no way.
Yeah, she was. Oh. She was represented us.
Only the best, and
because we were signed to Warner Brothers at the time, and this was like, I don't know.
What year was this?
This was 1992.
So I think I must have been playing your records on Radio 1. I'm pretty sure.
Maybe. I know that my records were played on Jazz FM, Kiss FM for sure, a whole bunch of pirate stations, and specifically related to the Carnival, I remember performing at one of our singles, which is a track called You Got a Hold of Me, featuring an artist called Beverly Skeet. Beverly Skeet is from northwest London, from Harlesden, I think. She was a backing vocalist for Shaka Khan. She did some stuff with the Stones, backing vocals, and she's known in the industry. She was our featured singer and helped us and fronted our group, and we had to perform it at Horniman's Place, Pleasance. And I remember for Kiss FM were running that when they were there every year. It was on stage, the sound check was done, I think. But for some strange reason, I was playing the synth and I was playing the bass line. I hit the first note on our single that started our single off that everybody knew. And I remember the sound engineer running around with his hair on fire as I probably folded the large speaker system that they had there, and everything was running hot. So he was pulling that down. And I think halfway through our set, it seemed like every bank holiday, it was sideways rain, hurricane winds, and that was lashing across the stage as we're trying to hold it all together to perform our 3 songs. So yeah, I've got a bit of eclectic background, from music to photography to etc.
A thank you, I think, is in order for those that help keep this show on the path, or the road, or the Carnival Walk, I suppose, every single week of the year. Notting Hill Carnival lasts just a couple of days, but the photographs people make there can last a lifetime. That's true whether you're photographing Carnival, the mountains, your family, or simply a walk with your camera. We all have pictures that mean something. The trouble is, far too many of them will never make it beyond a hard drive. And that's one of the reasons I like Silver Grain Press, and thank them for supporting this show. They help photographers, like what you is, and like what I am, turn those digital files into something you can actually hold. Beautifully crafted photo books, exhibition quality prints on Hahnemuller paper, using archival pigment inks, and solid hardwood frames that give your photographs a place on the wall instead of hiding away somewhere behind a screen. If you've been meaning to print some of your favourite photographs, this might be the moment. Visit Silver Grain Press, that's all one word, silvergrainpress.com/Photowalk, and you'll receive 15% off your first order with the code Photowalk. That's silvergrainpress.com/Photowalk. Don't forget to use the code Photowalk, please, at checkout, and there's a link to it on the show page today. I think, Wayne, this might be a familiar picture to
to many, but you wrote that you first picked up a camera because it allowed you to hide. Is it the perfect camouflage? It can be, can't it?
Yeah, I think so, Neil. And I think as photographers, some of us do use it as a bit of a camouflage. You know, you probably find more images of what's in front of our lenses than photographs of ourselves. So you very rarely see images of me in front of the camera. And if you do see them, they're self-portraits that I've deliberately done for a purpose. But yeah, it gave me the opportunity to kind of, especially in street photography, to blend into the background, to immerse myself in my surroundings and the scene and just kind of let it wash over me, and hopefully nobody will see me. That wasn't easy in my early days of street photography because I was using a DSLR, which was...
Now have you got the X100?
It's X100 5.
Yeah, same as me, look.
There you go.
Brothers
in arms. And I only moved to the Fuji system, or one of the main key drivers of the Fuji system was when I was walking around with my DSLR, I had a fixed 35mm lens on there, and the thing was so big and bulky, I just felt very conscious whether people can see me, whether people are going to be a little bit concerned that I'm up to something nefarious or whatever, and inadvertently changing the scene in front of me. So swapping over, somebody told me, maybe have you considered mirrorless cameras? And I said, no, not actually. That sounds pretty cool. What do you suggest? I looked at Pentax, Olympus, and other stuff, and I settled on the X100S. Mainly because it didn't look like a paparazzi camera. No. It was very subtle, but there was a lot of curiosity around it because people thought it was a 35mm camera, so I was quite surprised that it was digital, and it allowed me the freedom to create, switching off the shutter so nobody can hear it, and to be very discreet in what I did. And also as well, with a short focal length, I still managed to get deep into the scene without really disturbing too much what's in front of me, which I thought was absolutely brilliant. And I just flew from that point. I think that the 100S was like a rocket ship in my creativity.
But in terms of your style, because that's clearly changed looking at your work, whilst you might have once been afraid to be brave and in people's faces and in the scene, you're not anymore. Now you're part of it.
Yeah.
I mean, you've already said that by the fact you climb aboard the floats.
Yep.
You're up ladders. You're in front of people.
I'm in front of people.
Sometimes, perhaps, funnily enough, that's the best way to be discreet, is by being part of it.
Absolutely. I suppose it's a confidence thing as well, isn't it? Because, a lot of photographers kind of shy away from taking photographs of human beings because of that kind of insecurity about what's going to happen. Are they going to punch me in the face? But some people have got this fear, right, about photographing humans, and you think it's weird because we are humans, so why should you be, right? So I just embraced it, and the human condition, the human spirit was something that intrigued me, and I think all my images that I create, I try to capture those emotions and that spirit of humanity, hopefully. Even when I'm photographing, and I've photographed a lot of protests ranging from Extinction Rebellion, anti-Brexit, more recent BLM, and more recently all the pro-Palestinian marches, as well as the Unite the Kingdom marches. I've been very much in the middle of them as well, which is important to me to be able to document and show contrasting voices, even if they don't particularly resonate with me. That's not the reason why I do it. I think it's important to show some form of balance in a world where we are very much tribalised by social media and other things. So I think a sense of some discourse is sometimes needed. So I do that. So I have and this is this brave. It's not bravery. It's just me being me. Just walking into situations and not feeling at all concerned about anything going badly with me. I think I just give a smile, as you normally do, right? I always advise people when they're taking photographs of other humans, if they see you taking the photograph, don't run away and hide. Actually walk up to them and say, look, this is what I did. You know, you had a really cool hat, or I like what you're wearing, and this is what it looks like in the back of the camera. What do you think? And, you know, and if you just use your natural communication skills and not be aggressive, then in 90% of the time people are cool with that, right? Yeah. Unless they're not wearing makeup or wearing their onesie while going to Sainsbury's, which, you know, maybe that's what I like doing.
Interestingly, I was in Portobello Market only a couple of hours ago, and I can remember her Instagram account, Grace O Designer. There we go, at Grace O Designer. And she's an artist, and she hand makes journals.
Okay.
Fantastic work. Okay. And I said to her, and she does these beautiful drawings as well, line drawings and sketches. And I said, do you look at the world differently because you're an artist? And I was interested, actually, because that didn't seem to go in. And she said, I don't really understand what you mean. And I think as photographers, particularly documentary photographers like yourself, I think being a photographer with or without a camera, I do think we have a predisposition to see the world in a very different way to other people. I think it's a superhuman power.
No, you're so right. In some cases, because it's a superhuman power, and other people don't necessarily have it or even understand it, it can actually cheese them off. You know, just ask my wife, right? So I do decompose things that are decompose scenes in front of me. The way how my brain is wired. I think most photographers are the same. You're there constantly scanning. You're hearing the sounds, and you're looking. Where's that sound coming from? Is there anything of interest there? I'm looking right in front of me now, saying, is there a frame there? I've got a lamppost. I've got a wall. Can I frame somebody between? You know, all that kind of stuff is going through your mind a million miles an hour. You know, some people might say it's almost bordering ADHD, obsession, because in some cases it can be. And sometimes I find it does get in the way a little bit. So when I should be enjoying life, I'm looking for a shot, even when I'm on holiday, which is an absolute nightmare. Especially, I just remember that recent trip to Japan. I just saw it as a photograph. It was with the family, but yeah, I had my gear with me and I was there to take photographs, you know.
Just how the thing goes. Yes, we do give thanks when we go out dance. You know we outside free and living up. You know we live it up. Oh yes, we do give thanks when we go out dance. Yeah, we outside free and living up. You know we live it up.
This seems a good place. We're in the Tabernacle. We've come out of the sunshine for a moment. So, Carnival Village, London, Mangrove. What is Carnival Village?
This is the hub. This is where all the costume designs, all the organisations with the steel pans, all the people that are involved within Carnival. This is the epicentre. This is where it is.
So on Carnival Day, or days, what's this place like?
Busy. I've taken a few images here of performers of getting their makeup done, and actually I took a shot right here in front of that mirror of somebody who's looking in the mirror wearing her outfit. It is just bedlam because everybody's running around and they're looking at the time thinking, oh, we've got to be on in a minute and we've got to be out there and following a float. And
do the floats go past here?
Well, they go on the main road, and
so they don't collate around here, do they?
They don't collate way here, but some people would start off here and they go and meet the floats down the roads.
Let's look at some of these pictures. You see, I'm wondering whether some of these are Charlie's. It doesn't say. They're not. I know they're not. But there's a great opportunity or possibility they are.
Those, isn't there?
Yeah.
I don't know. We have a look here. They're not autographed and they're not signed.
No. Well, who knows then? They may be just family collected pictures.
I'll get the phone now and get AI to do a search for me. AI, right?
It is, as I look at the pictures that we've got here, clearly this place at carnival time, or being at the carnival, is a great opportunity for photographers, isn't it? If you ever feel a little bit nervous about photographing people, just go to a carnival, and in particular this one.
And you know what makes it easier as well, if you're a photographer, if you are nervous about people, you will be surprised how accessible people are in this moment, because they're celebrating, they're dancing, they're drinking, they're happy, and it's so easy. to be able to capture those natural images. But also as well, if you're intended to come down here to take photos of the carnival, try and look for slightly different angles. I know it's difficult if you don't have access.
This is this magic thing, Wayne. People say, look for a different thing. And I know many people think, what do you mean? What different? What is different? What does that mean?
Yeah, for me...
Is it angle? Is it lying on the floor?
Not so much. Well, it's some of that stuff, but some of it also as well is the things you actually photograph. I mean, I have a number of images that I've created on the way, and I've used the term B-rolls. If you're in filming or filmmaking, you know what B-roll is. I will collect stuff like the discarded rubbish on the floor, or people, human carnage, people who've had one too many. That kind of, a few of those kind of things, quite easy to get those, right? So getting some behind the scenes stuff with maybe the catering or the dancers, try and look for a different angle, different point of view, because the problem that you're going to have is that an event like this attracts a lot of photographers, right? Millions of us, probably as many photographers as there are revelers trying to take the image. But I think what you need to do is just go with the flow or the float, and just let it wash over you. Just be part of it.
Yeah,
it's right.
We're good. We're being interrupted by Sam.
Another brilliant photographer as well.
I know. That's right, Sam, no worries. We're just having a chat.
Just having a chat?
I think he was protecting you, Wayne.
There's two founding members of the Carnival outside of 1965 Carnival. So
right.
I'd like to introduce you to them.
Yeah. All right, should we go? Do you want to do that?
Yeah, let's
that'd
go.
be useful for you to...
Yeah. Well, there we go. A note from the journal then. We were recording in the gallery at the Tabernacle when another voice found its way into our conversation. It belonged to Sam Shervington, a London documentary photographer and historian whose work is rooted in this community. Sam was outside in the garden, actually, with his grandmother, Barbara Shervington, who'd been involved in the early street festivals alongside her husband, Andre. Sitting with them was Wilf Walker, or Will Walker, one of the people who later helped change Carnival by establishing its first live stages in the late 70s, bringing reggae and even punk bands into the programme, and giving early platforms to performers including Aswad and Eddie Grant. So the recording rather wonderfully changed direction for a moment. What you're about to hear comes from two people who knew Carnival when it was smaller, more local if you will, and closely tied to the families living around these streets. Just rewinding slightly though, the very first outdoor Notting Hill Carnival took place in '66 when a community street festival was transformed by the sound of Russell Henderson's steel band weaving through the streets. People simply fell in behind it, dancing as they went, and a tradition was born. So what you're about to hear isn't a history lesson as such, although we're going to talk about two of the biggest festivals that we have in music terms in the UK. It's something more valuable than that, I think, because Wilf, alongside Barbara, remembers Carnival from the inside. They were there as it grew. And while their affection for it has, not completely faded, neither of them is afraid to say that parts of today's Carnival sit a little uneasily with the one that they first knew. Let's talk about Glastonbury first, though.
I was working in Notting Hill Carnival and Glastonbury Festival. This is like 80, 81, 82, 83, 84. And in fact, when I came to Glastonbury, I was introduced to Michael Evers by Arabella Churchill, Winston Churchill's granddaughter, with the view to bringing international bands to the festival. At that point, they'd never had any Americans. And I brought Taj Mahal. And that was the first year that Michael was actually successful.
So Wilf Walker wasn't only involved with Notting Hill Carnival. As a music promoter, he also worked with Glastonbury in its early years, long before it became the world's most famous music festival, bringing artists from both sides of the Atlantic to its stages, including the American blues musician Taj Mahal. Looking back now, it's hard to imagine there was ever any doubt about Glastonbury's future. But Wilf remembers things rather differently. As he tells it, Michael Evis once confided that his wife Jean thought the festival was on its last legs. Now, whether memory has rounded off the corners over the years, who knows, but It's an interesting story from a time when Glastonbury was still finding its place, just as the Notting Hill Carnival was doing so in London. Oh, and a short but important footnote to this one, Michael and Jean Evis were the farming couple behind Glastonbury, growing it from a small event on their Somerset farm into the festival the world knows today.
When I first worked with Michael and brought Taj Mahal, he was on a last ditch. His wife had said to him, "This is the last time you're doing this festival. If you're not successful, it's finished." Oh. And that was the year he made the connection with CND. And CND has a membership of 350,000. So no one talks about that link to Glastonbury. Everyone's forgotten about CND. And in fact, CND was the people's organization. Yeah. And it was about, the planet. It was about it all, climate change and everything. CND. Yeah. CND was about all these things. And that was the mailing list that brought the people to Glastonbury, where Michael was walking back from the box office with suitcases of money, like a tired old man with suitcases of money.
So prior to that, it was a fairly empty arena.
Disaster. And then 82, I brought him Richie Havens and a few other bands, and I told him about U2. U2 were a band who was staying at a hotel where I was the night manager, a place called the Portobello Hotel. And I said to Michael, I know the guys. I can ask them, ask the manager. I'll broker an introduction. At that point, I'd already been chairman of the Notting Hill Carnival. So when I finally got to talk to Paul McGuinness, who was the manager of U2, he said, "Wilf, no, we can't do it because we just signed with Island and really, we don't want to be doing any major festivals." But Michael already put them on his poster. So in 82, the poster had U2 on it. And when he came to writing his book, he justifies them being on the poster by saying he met this black guy who was the night porter at the Portobello Hotel who told him he knew the band. Go figure.
Well, that story is rather delicious, really, isn't it? I did go away and check it, and it turns out I think he's right. Back then, the posters didn't simply advertise Glastonbury, they billed it as Glastonbury, a CND festival, reflecting its close ties with the campaign for nuclear disarmament. It's a very different event to the one we know today, and yes, U2 really were among the names appearing on those early line-up posters, although they obviously didn't line up. What's interesting, though, is that despite playing a part in both Glastonbury and Notting Hill Carnival, Wilf doesn't go to either these days. Time moves on, festivals change, and so do the people who help shape them. You'll also hear another voice now joining us. As I mentioned her before, Barbara Shervington was there in the early days of Carnival and remembers conversations with Ronnie Laslett, the community activist, whose vision helped turn a local neighbourhood festival into the first outdoor Notting Hill Carnival in '66. The conversation you're about to hear is honest. At times, well, some people might find it uncomfortable. Wilf reflects on how he believes Carnival changed as it grew, and on the different communities that came to share the streets. Now, you may not agree with every conclusion he reaches, and I certainly found myself challenged by parts of what he said culturally, in terms of the multicultural society that most of us wish to live in these days. But these are his memories, his experiences, and his perspective. They're part of this wider story of this mammoth carnival event, and I think they're worth hearing.
The carnival is another beast, isn't it?
Yeah. It's another beast, though, but if you think about it, with your memories, your connection with Michael, and the connection with C&D, it's all about activism. So you got activism there with C&D, and activism was the seed of the Notting Hill Carnival as well.
And Glastonbury. Exactly. But look what it's evolved into. A big thing with all these I'm going to swear now, all these pop stars.
What do you think about the carnival now?
It's a demonstration in traditional chaos. I mean, in spite of all the art and blah, 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 it's just chaos. And it will always be chaos until we get a real grip on it.
Isn't that one of the things, though, that is celebrated about this carnival? That there's an element of chaos that's important to it?
Yeah. I mean, the key to carnival is being close, to being in such close proximity to other humans in peacetime and out of your brains on whatever you're on. That is the hook of carnival. But in fact, it's a disaster absolutely waiting to happen because no one has really grasped how it should be really, really and truly organized.
Sorry, Wayne, you had a question.
Yeah, I mean, do you think, has it got too big? I mean, considering where it started from.
Well, I mean, I'll be honest with you, I haven't seen it for...
Why have you kept away? What's kept you...
Because I was so involved, and then all of a sudden I wasn't. And it's very hard to be in the area having such profound involvement.
So do you miss it? Because this sounds to me like a man that misses carnival, not somebody who's avoided it. You're one of the founding members of it.
Yeah, I am, but I miss the opportunity that I missed to make my idea of carnival happen. That's all because I had ideas, because I used to do all the stage events. Yeah. So I ran a part of carnival that was the only part of carnival that ran to a timetable. Think about it. And I mean, I could have put that into more areas of carnival, but I miss not having had the opportunity to put it into fruition, Yeah. So, but I don't really miss it as it is. I want. To be honest, I want it gone.
Quite expecting that.
I quite like the way how that jarred right at the end. Just leave it hanging there.
There's a bit of jarring. I was just about to go into the question of what are your favourite moments, and I've got a founding member saying I'd rather see it gone.
I want it gone because it's no longer our thing. I haven't seen.
So you think it's been hijacked?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, yes. What do you mean our thing?
Well, I think if you've counted the numbers, you'll find there are not many Caribbean people in it anymore. If you actually,
but isn't that part of multiculturalism?
Hey,
I mean, I don't want to fall out with you.
I do. I quite like him.
So Sam was a photographer we met a moment ago inside, and this is Sam's nan, isn't it? This is your nan.
Yes. Yeah.
So no, he didn't expect to be doing an interview. It seems a bit like we've hijacked you now.
Yeah.
Why? So you don't you don't agree with us at all, do you?
No.
Come on, Nan. What's your part in this whole thing?
I was a secretary to a woman named Ronnie Lancelot.
Right.
And that was in Tavistock Crescent. And there were a lot of Trinidadians especially.
So you did the very first one, right? Okay.
Moved into over the other side of the steps by Tavistock and all that way, right? And when they used to come to her for advice, in London and all that, and then they would start talking about their carnival. When it was their carnival, when it was June, July, whatever, they would say, oh, God, it's carnival time at home, And then because I was her secretary, and we'd say, what's carnival? What do you mean by carnival? And they would talk to us, tell us more about it, and then the next day, bring in photographs and that. And Ronnie said, oh, God, this is lovely, Wouldn't it be nice if we could do something? And her words were to cheer these people up, and make them feel more comfortable in this country. And that's the type of woman she was. And my husband was West Indian, but he was from Guyana. My husband came over, and obviously he's been to Carnival in Trinidad and that. And he came to see Ronnie. And he helped her on with the idea.
What's the first carnival like back in 1965, the very first one?
It was small, but it was great, to us. I mean, having all those, if there were 20 or 30 people, that was a lot of people.
No way.
Yeah, of course.
I was at that first carnival. People were curious on the street. People were wanting to know what it was about. And I mean, because I knew carnival from back home, I could relate to what they were trying to do, And in fact, I was with a bunch of hippie friends, and they're the ones who told me, this carnival, come on. But no one knew they didn't know what to do, and that carried on for a long time. What carnival became after a certain length of time.
All right. Your view.
It became a demonstration of solidarity and peace
Between
within the
people.
communities.
Well, I will agree with you there.
And black people specifically, we were marking their card. They came from all around Great Britain to this event. It wasn't to do with white people. White people just came and ran interference, man. But
No,
that's how it was.
I'm a white person.
I know you are.
And we got involved with it. That's all. It came from the West Indies, but we loved it, and we were just part.
Listen.
Come on, you're a white people.
Barbara, I don't want to get involved in this row.
Barbara, you got to look at it from being an honorary black person to understand where I'm coming from. You can't don't take the white people's side, because it's not about that. It's about the fact that this was
taking sides.
No, but
we're all the same.
Yeah, well,
I ain't any different.
Gina, can I stop you both? What I love about the Notting Hill Carnival is the love and the peace. As demonstrated beautifully here. Sam, rescue us here. It's your grandma.
Well, I wasn't born then.
No, I'm just trying to get you in as the peacemaker here.
I tried to look back at, the facts and what actually happened. For me, looking back, I look up to, although it's my grandmother, but all of them, because these guys were going through a time of injustice and racism, especially from the government, and coming from a diverse background where I have a white English nan and a Caribbean grandfather. I'm brought up in both worlds, predominantly brought up around here where it was Caribbean, Now, Carnival, for me, is a combination of that unity, that love. I think Wilf said it perfectly in a documentary he done, where he said it doesn't belong to everyone because it's part of everyone. It brings everyone together. Everyone has played a part in it. And I think that's what is more important. At the same time, it wouldn't have happened without these individuals, and there's many of them. There's not one person or two people. There's many of them who played parts, and many of them who were also taken out of history because of things they may have done or said, But for the first 5 years of Carnival, I think it was called the People's...
So maybe that's what it's called. I wasn't aware.
From 1965 to 1970, it wasn't called Notting Hill Carnival. It was called People's Carnival or something.
But they didn't want us on the street. I mean...
Who didn't?
The police, the state, Westminster Council, Notting Hill Council, the CRE, the Arts Council, they didn't really want us on the street, Barbara. You are part of me, I'm part of you. Don't take it like I'm attacking you. I'm not attacking you.
No, I know you're not. I know.
I think from the transcripts, I may be wrong, but I read from Ronnie Lasley. She said that RBKC didn't want to support the Notting Hill Carnival. The police didn't want to support the Notting Hill Carnival. It was people like Richard Branson's Virgin and Woolworths and other shops in the area who donated. And I think Madame Tussauds, somebody mentioned about the costumes.
The Catholic Church contributed. Cardinal Hume came and walked the area, and and he's head of the Catholic Church, and he blessed the carnival. But the rest of them, they didn't want. That's why I say give them. They know it's big, the biggest event. They started to run carnival when they realized the revenue that carnival, the impact that carnival had on the economy of London. At that particular time, at the end of the summer, where everything is falling down, carnival gave it a boost. A big boost, because all the tourists came in, all the hotels were still full. Carnival was turning over, they say, 70-80 million pounds. Of course they're going to want it. It's good for the economy. But in essence, they want the carnival. They don't really want us.
Yeah, I mean,
we weren't expecting to have this conversation around the table, but I think this has been really insightful.
It's great because it's organic, right? So this is not scripted at all. But but what Will, your point of view, I totally get it, right? And I think the challenge that we have right now, what Carnival is right now, from where it started to where it is right now, is that commercialisation of it, right? And what I mean is you've got the big sponsors coming in, the big sponsors putting a lot of money in, and if they do that, they have a sway on how the carnival should be seen in their corporate minds, right? And that is the problem with that. When you see the amount of money that's being generated, is how do you keep the purity? How do you keep as Sam says, that kind of unity? Because the carnival is about, for me personally, I'm not from West London. However, every time I've worked with communities, I'm from East London, I've worked in East London a lot, it's important to me to not to forget the community there that started all this, right? And keep focused on that, even if there's a lot of noise with other things going on around us.
Sorry, can I just add something a little bit different? There was a woman in South London. Did you know about her? She's
Cordy Jones.
Oh, that's right. Well, then she's the one that started the carnival in London.
Well, that's a red herring.
It's the same thing, no?
Yeah, but she did an event in a town hall.
That's how Ronnie got the idea.
Yeah. But we're talking about a different aspect of it now.
Are we? Okay,
because,
sorry.
I mean,
I got lost somewhere.
The thing
Me too, Barbara. I only came here for an ice cream. Well, I wasn't quite expecting that, to be honest.
Well, you know, this is, I know. And I think it's...
Step into the tabernacle and suddenly one of the original, two of the original founding members from reasonably different opinions about the carnival now.
Yeah, you're gonna find that there's a lot of history here, especially when you talk about the elders. They've got a particular point of view of the inception of the carnival. They've seen how it's evolved. Is it for the best? I don't know. Let history sort of decide on that one. But change is inevitable. Yeah. And it's how it's managed and embraced is what's going to make this survive. You know, I know that. Mr. Khan has always been muted to move the carnival to Hyde Park at one point, get it away from here. If he moved it to Hyde Park,
that would take the whole...
Of course it would. Yeah. Of course it would. It would just kill it.
It's a very political thing. I didn't realise how political this organisation is.
Well, if you think about it, just its inception is political. It's all about activism right from the very beginnings, and that's the DNA of this carnival. That still remains with the original founders and the elders that started the carnival some 60 odd years ago. I think what I'm trying to do and what Wayne's trying to do with the book, the pair of us trying to do with the book, is trying to keep some of that story alive, because inevitably it will disappear over time. So as photographers, I feel it's my responsibility to keep on creating and documenting those stories for future generations.
Well, let's talk about the book. Actually, I wished I'd have been recording when you were describing the book and what it's about and what it's going to do before I turned the tape on, to use the old parlance. So let's rewind a bit. I had a whole load of questions here. I'm not.
Go with the flow.
I'm not going to ask half of these.
Well,
I did an interview like this recently where I had I think it was 59 questions. I did 10.
Yeah, there's nothing worse, by the way, of trying to turn up, doing one of these things and having no questions at all. So having more questions that you need is something, right?
Just means I can come back.
Well, yeah, and if you was interviewing somebody who just didn't talk, then you probably would have gone through 60 questions, you know. But about the book, so the creation of the book was by chance, really. So I met Wayne Campbell, I think it was about just over 3 years ago. We were exhibiting at a gallery in Covent Garden. Was invited to put some pictures up there for Black History Month, and that's where I met Wayne. And then over that period of time, we actually became pretty good mates. So I don't know whether it's because we shared the same Christian name, maybe that's what it was. But we actually, as visual artists and storytellers and visual activists, there was a synergy and a connection between us. So Wayne has already published 3 books himself, self-published, BLM and some Palestinian. The show Defiance from the African and Caribbean community at the time, and that's a very much the very sort of bedrock of the festival. When you look at the traditions of Jab, Juve, which are aspects of Carnival which not many people know about, but they happen in that sequence for a reason. The stories and origins are from Guyana and from Trinidad and other islands, and they're brought together as chapters in a bigger story, which is the Notting Hill Carnival. When we sort of was chatting one day, we thought, you know what, I think I have a hard drive full of a ton of images. So I've got no idea what I'm doing with them. I almost was like a digital Vivian Maier, but without the talent, where I was just hoarding images that were just stacking up on my hard drive. Yeah. Some of them I would share on my website and the odd posts on Instagram. But when we spoke about this, and he was doing the same really, we thought, actually, I think there's a purpose here and there's something we can do with these images. So we came together and said, let's put this book together. Wayne's visual language is very much similar to mine. He sort of gets into the thick of it, but very documentary. He shoots purely in black and white, but his images are very gritty and very powerful in that respect. And me, I'm colour, but not colour Disney colour, so I'm very desaturated. I desaturate my colours. I'm kind of in that almost that creative purgatory of between black and white and colour. I
like that description, creative purgatory.
Yeah, I'm in between.
I think I want to make a book called that.
I think you can have that for free. And so we thought we'd just pull some images together. And boy, and you probably know this as well, Neil, when you have literally thousands of images across a number of years, and you have to then create first a long edit, then a short edit that tells sequence in a way that tells a story throughout the book. That was really quite hard, but I quite enjoyed the creative process on that one. I love sequencing images together to link up all the various different chapters in the book. So the book is divided up into chapters of Jab Jab, Juve, the panorama, all the still pan culture, foods, music, etc. And we've got images that connect all those chapters together quite naturally, and it's a mix between my images and his that kind of brings the same story, the same narrative together, but through two different eyes. And I think that's kind of gives a little bit of variety to the book.
A page from our journal, if you don't mind, just to fill in some gaps. One of the things you'll notice if you spend time around Notting Hill Carnival is that it has its own language. Two words you'll have heard in this show are Juve and Jab Jab. Juve comes from the French jour ouvert, meaning daybreak or the opening of the day, and it marks the beginning of Carnival before sunrise, when the streets belong to music and paint, mud and powder. It's less about elaborate costumes, more about freedom, release, and remembering the traditions carried from the Caribbean. Then there's Jab Jab. The name comes from the French word diable, meaning devil. Originating in Grenada, Jab Jab revelers cover themselves in black oil. You'll see some of those pictures on the show page. Paint or mud, wearing chains and horns as they parade through the streets. It might look intimidating at first glance, but it's rooted in history. The character is a symbol of resistance, turning images once used to oppress enslaved people into something defiant and empowering. They're reminders that Carnival isn't simply a parade. It's made up of traditions, stories, symbols, many of which reach back hundreds of years, long before the music reached the streets of West London.
I think we may have answered, or you may have answered this question already, but at what point did you know that this was a book and not simply an archive? I know you said, look, we've got some photographs, we can do something with them, but there's a whole world of difference between it being an archive across many, many years and suddenly a book. Well, I say suddenly, it doesn't really work that way.
No, it doesn't. It's more of a living archive.
Yeah.
Because this is by no means potentially the only book. I think when we looked at our individual images through our own individual eyes and the relatability to what we've seen in front of us, kind of put us in a position to say, this is our story. this story is going to be told thousands of times after us, but the images that we create and we've created coalesce quite nicely in this one vessel, which just happens to be a book. It was spending a lot of time actually just trawling through the images. There's a lot of images you can imagine that ended up on the cutting room floor, the proverbial one, that didn't make the cut, even though they were technically brilliant and all that kind of stuff, but they weren't actually telling the story or the narrative that we had in mind. So we were very specific in what we published in the book, and it's all done with purpose without being too kind of overcooked. So yeah, it was very much that. It was very organic, the whole selection process. We would agree on certain things, disagree on others, and meet in the middle somewhere, and ended up where we've ended up. As it stands, I'm proud of the book and proud of what we put together. I think both of us are. And I think the feedback that we've been getting so far from our peers and from other people and other podcasts. Unfortunately, we've done another podcast before.
No, that's fine. There's more than just this around.
Oh, that's all right. We've had a lot of positive feedback about it, and I think the general kind of feeling is that this book is refreshingly different and has a perspective that hasn't really been seen before in the form that it's been seen. I think I've been quite lucky that Wayne, having been self-publisher, in his previous life, he was a graphics designer back in the day. Used to do stuff from Smash Hits and what have you.
Big magazine.
The big magazine. So he's got that eye when it comes to the layout of the book.
So he did all the layout?
He did all the layout himself, and I left him pontificating about fonts and all that kind of stuff, so good luck with that. I'll just...
How did the editorial bit work then? Who really took control of that?
So it was both of us. It was a joint piece of work between the pair of us. What we did do as well, which makes this book slightly different, we also invited a number of contributors to be able to write forwards and in some cases poems within the book, which helps to join up some of the pictures as well, so that it kind of brings the pictures and brings some life in there as well. So it's not just a coffee table photography book, it's also a book where you can actually read some stories spoken through the voice and the pen of some of our contributors. So it was a combination of that that really excited me, as well as the photographs. And then we had lent ourselves a good friend of ours who's a marketing strategist and been in digital marketing, and she's been helping us to make sure we spell things right before we go.
I use Grammarly for that.
Oh God, I tell you what, Wayne's had he keeps going about with his previous book. There's one word that's wrong in it. I think he's mortified by it.
So many authors say there's 4 mistakes in like 400 and whatever pages. It's really 4 mistakes.
But it stands out.
But it stands out to them.
Yeah, exactly.
For always. Just a short break away from Wayne, returning to him in a moment. We have a wonderful family that listens to this show each week, and then we have an extended family too. And that really is the way I think about you, called Extra Milers. Those who support the show each month with a kind donation that keeps the show on the road, as it were. Without you, and I do mean this, we simply could not be here. So thank you, really, from the bottom of my heart. And there is an additional show each week called The Extra Mile, where I walk with, sometimes with your letters, sometimes with personal thoughts in the path, some behind the scenes from time to time. And this week, since he's been mentioned in our walk earlier on in the show, Charlie Phillips is here with a remixed interview from the archive from some time ago, actually, which I think is pertinent to today's show. Because long before the Notting Hill Carnival became one of the most photographed events in London, Charlie Phillips was documenting London's Caribbean community. Now, Charlie was born in Jamaica and part of the Windrush generation. His photographs captured everyday life, creating a remarkable record of the people and communities who helped shape what we call, I suppose, modern London today. He is my guest
alongside some journal thoughts in the studio in terms of how important he was to photography.
I've never meant to be a photographer. What I really wanted to be was a naval architect, designing ships, or being an opera singer, but it didn't work that way. I was living in the ghetto at that time, just documenting people. I used to do a lot of anti-apartheid. I used to do Ban the Bomb. That was another thing, CND. There was a big student uprising in Europe, and there was another uprising in Paris, so I thought I'd go to Paris. In Italy, they used to class me as the Black Cartier-Bresson. All right, I used to dress like him, which I still do. The last straw was I was with Hendrix at Isle of Wight Festival, and I had some backstage photographs with him, joined by Tiny Tim and lots of other people, you know. And I took him around and says, "Did you really take that?" And I thought I must have found them in the thing, you know. So when nobody wanted them, I'd get demoralized and went on to wash dishes and work in a restaurant. And while I was in the shop, there was a customer there who saw some of these photographs, and he said, "What? You got these photographs from 1958 of our community, especially of Notting Hill, and the institutions ought to open up and come to terms that people like us exist."
And how can I hear the extra mile, Neil? Well, I'm glad you asked. Go to the website photowalk.show, and you'll see some links that will take you to the extra mile. There's one called Support the Show, and there's another one just simply called the Extra Mile. And the best thing is, as soon as you are a member, you get access to hundreds of additional shows. Some short, some quite long. There are some mega episodes in there as well. And of course, you get a chance to join in with the monthly live Zoom meetup that we talk about from time to time. And you can listen to all those shows, new and archive, on whatever app you use to listen to your podcasts usually.
In terms of Carnival, what's your favourite parts of it? I know that sounds a bit like saying, what's your favourite ice cream? But what are the moments that really make you sing? In your heart, creatively?
In my heart. I mean, I'm a bit of a muso anyway, so it's the music for me first. So all the sound systems that I love hanging around and just feeling the vibrations of the music, the swell of the people around me, and just feeling free just to enjoy that. So I enjoy the music. I enjoy the cultural aspects, from the costumes, the amount of work that goes into putting those costumes together with the community.
Sure.
I mean, they've been working all year round, and even now they're still sewing things and putting things together for this year. So that I'm very much appreciative. And obviously it's the food, right? So it's the food and the rum punch, of which I drink copious amounts of that, and can be found a little bit liberated, shall I say.
Do your photographs become more creative at those moments, or just upside down?
Good job in Lightroom, you can spin them around the right way, right? But
there's more of a Dutch tilt as the day goes on.
Yeah, exactly. Add a bit of drama, get the Dutch angle in there. But no, seriously, it's of course I and that's part of being involved in it, and not sort of being standoffish and walking around the camera. You will find me with a rum punch in one hand, the camera in the other. I'm there with the people.
Well, there's another reason for having an X100. You can drink and shoot at the same time.
Exactly. One of my memories here, actually, it was last year, and I was in the Tabernacle just having a rum punch during Carnival. I thought, I've been walking around for hours, literally hours. So I usually have an early start, like 6 o'clock in the morning, and I'm there documenting everything from the guys that are putting up all the stands and all the practicing, all that kind of stuff. And I was here towards the end of the evening, and I saw this guy was in front of me with some burly security guy that blocked out the sun that was around him. And when I looked in carefully, it was Wycliffe Jean. So Wycliffe Jean, he walked out of here because he was using upstairs as a changing room, because there was a stage in the field there. He was performing there, and I did an impromptu walking backwards from here to Paddington, where his car picked him up, and I managed to catch some really good close-up pictures of him and his crew. Tagged him in his Instagram, got acknowledged by it, and the security guard loved it, and all that. So you just never know who you're going to stumble over.
La 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 la. Everyone a come and we should have fun. La 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 la.
think, Wayne, we've all already embraced a little of this subject over the last few moments with our unexpected guests on the show. But you describe in the book photography as visual activism, which is quite a powerful phrase. What does it mean to you? I mean, I know that sounds a little bit like one of those school questions, discuss, but you will have your own take on it.
Is it a dissertation of no less than 1,000 words? Right.
You have 300 words.
Okay.
I wouldn't dare.
So for me, visual activism is about advocating for certain causes, but not necessarily, being wholeheartedly behind that particular cause, that there's bias, but to be able to observe it, understand it, and to be able to project those needs, those stories, right? And the very essence of it. And my visual activism started back in. So this is around the George Floyd murder, right? So I think that fired me up when I saw that unfold in front of me on TV. I felt the need to go out, and because it was in this moment, this is our time, this is happening in our time, and civil rights has been a theme for years and years and years, but I'm now seeing it in reality and seeing police brutality on the screen in front of me, that I had to go out and document it. So in that time I went down to the US Embassy. There were thousands of people there in front. I remember it clearly, everybody wearing masks for whatever reason, in front of the embassy. Every colour and creed was there, with one unified voice against racism and police brutality as it was back then. And from that moment, I felt if I wasn't going to be the person carrying the placards, I'll carry a camera instead. And I will capture those moments and document those moments and freeze those voices, to be able then to use my small platform that I have to then project it out to the rest of the world. So I will document what's going on in Congo and the whole controversy around Apple and rare earth minerals and the slave trade there and everything else. Because if I don't do it, then I think it's a dereliction of duty, really. I think my purpose in life is to use my weapon of choice, which is my camera, to be able to be an advocate for those causes and for those voices.
I think that was about the time Miss Anne Harriman was finding the very same with his photography. That was the opportunity. No, opportunity is the wrong word, and I don't want it to sound as if he was an opportunist. But it gave him. It was his platform from which to report stories that he felt weren't being told.
Yeah, absolutely. Our origins into this particular genre, funny enough, sort of happened at the same time. Interestingly, Wayne, I never met Wayne back in 2020. He showed me a photograph that he took of me amongst the crowd, photographing the crowd, which I thought, I don't know, I think it's a bit creepy. But when you speak to Wayne, he will also say the same thing. That's where his visual activism kind of was born from. And interesting, other side, fun fact, kind of, is I do get mistaken for Miss Anne Harriman so many times. I went to your exhibition. No, you didn't. You went to my doppelganger, Miss Anne. I know Miss Anne very well. So
I've interviewed him a long time ago. Actually, I interviewed him as well. Actually, that does bring me around to something. It wasn't exactly at the same time, but while BLM was happening, there was definitely a shift, a swing in the way that photographers and journalists were being treated as well. Because there you are, there Miss Sam was and is, and Wayne, telling stories, really with a view, as I'm sure you would have thought, to educate the public. But then the public started to turn on the photographers. There's a phrase that makes me very, very uncomfortable, and whilst I understand its origins, I think it's been weaponized in a way that's brutalized, I think, our industry, and that is this horrible two-word fake news thing. I think that's lazy, frankly. I think it does happen that journalism can
say the wrong things, and particularly in this age of AI, be thought to be representing something that isn't happening. But I do think it's inherently very lazy to call all press, because you might not like it, fake. And I am uncomfortable that photographers and journalists at that stage started to be targeted too.
I think it's the world that we're in, Neil, because we spoke about this earlier. It's the world that we're in where it's all very tribal, and if you're against me, then you're fake news. Anything you say is negative, fake news, right? I think we should always speak truth to power. We should always be authentic in how we create our images. The images that we create shouldn't be doctored. We can talk about AI, and that's another different thing. But it needs to be pure. And if it makes people feel uncomfortable, then for me, so be it. Right? I don't create images. I don't play to the gallery. I create images how I see it. I don't sanitize what I do. Obviously, you need to be mindful to a certain extent, right? You don't end up with social media sort of banning you all over the place. But you have to tell it as it is, and some people are going to not like it, and some people will support you in it. I think I found out even when I've documented the Unite the Kingdom recently, I've just gone in there with my camera. I don't really stand out, do I? Or do I? Because what I found was interesting was how mixed some of that crowds were with the Tommy Robinsons and that ilk. So that's an interesting perspective. And again, it's about being invisible to a point when, because you're there, you are present, but you do get ignored after a while. If you're flying around shoving cameras in people's faces, then that becomes a problem. So I try to be present, but not be in your face.
It's a very interesting discussion, that, about the way photography is executed by those who work on the street and tell documentary images, whether that's at a march or whether that's at a wonderful event like a festival, in how you operate as a photographer. I have spoken to photographers who come from both angles on this. Some say having the camera changes what's happening, so therefore you have to work candidly. If you dare lift that camera to your face, then you've changed history immediately. Others will say no, that having a camera, of course, perhaps changes people's attitude towards you, or maybe how they act in front of you, but do they change that much? And there's plenty of photographers. I know Don McCullin. I don't know Don McCullin. I wish I did. I know I think he'd say that it can change things, but it hasn't or doesn't much for him.
Yeah. No, I would agree to that. I think what the camera does is it does naturally cut the communication between us and what's in front of us naturally. So what changes what's in front of the lens is that unknown from the person or the activity in front of you, thinking what's going on here behind with that bloke with the camera, right? Because we're visual animals and it's all about body language and eye contact. As soon as that eye disappears with a black box in front of it, then that just naturally changes things. But I think after you've removed that black box is what you do after, which I think is interesting, right? Do you then interject into that scene and build a conversation with the individuals that you created that image with? I would suggest that's probably not a bad thing, because it's less run and gun and more co-creation. So I'm a big fan of co-creating images. So when that old cliche, can I take your picture? I don't say that, can I create a picture with you, right? So it's not a one-way transaction. So I think it's always interesting once you've created that image to then interact, if you can, with the people there if they're open to it, and then it adds a bit more substance and context around what you've taken, as opposed to just being an observer.
On est ici en famille et avec les petits. On va faire le meilleur, même les nouveaux soldats. On est des enfants du pays. Chez nous c'est comme ça. On fait notre meilleur.
Wayne, I feel like we're in the inner sanctum of the Tabernacle.
This is such a great space, don't you think? We're here in the theatre. There isn't a performance. There's
Shame, I'd like a performance right now.
Yeah.
It'd be a nice way to end it.
There is
You couldn't bring back the band, could you?
After my little reminiscing yesterday, I might just do that. But we do have a black bin liner on the stage. Maybe that's going to do something in a minute.
What was that song we were listening to as we were coming? Dum, dum, dum.
It was
Dum, dum, dum.
Gwen McRae, All This Love That I'm Giving.
And you said something about that song as you were... It stopped you.
Yeah, it stopped me because now I'm hearing it all the time. Because when I was with Closer Than Close, we were signed to Warner Brothers and we had 2 singles with them. The first single was You Got Hold of Me. That got to about number 70, just out of the top 75, about 76 in the charts.
This is when being 76 mattered.
Oh, God, yeah.
You'd get a top 5 with that now.
Yeah. You couldn't, forget about downloads, and then we had a new life afterwards. Now, You Got a Hold of Me, when we created that one, the Gwen McRae track influenced that track, specifically the bass line. So I played the synth and the bass line on the track. And when we was putting it together, Gwen McRae was going through my head, and I did like an inverted version of that bass line. And I think that became the hook of the track.
What does an inverted version sound like?
I don't know, I just made that up, so hopefully people write in and tell me what the hell is he talking about.
No.
No, it wasn't. I said inverted, it wasn't inverted, it was the right way around. Let's me try and be really...
Like a deconstructed treacle pudding.
Yeah, a bit like that, without a treacle. That was a big influence on me because that's when the whole rear groove scene kind of came out in the late 80s. That particular track, Gwen McRae track, I think that was from the 1970s. It then sort of disappeared and was popped up again in the late 80s. And then I started hearing it at the Carnival. Norman J was playing it. I remember that. Rampage and some of the big DJs and sound systems at the time. So that was a floor filler and one of the soundtracks of my youth, and that influenced that particular track. So yeah, I would love if Warner Brothers actually remembered they signed us back in '92 and thought, we've got a record here, maybe we could put it out and make some money out of it.
I want to, what a fantastic place to end our conversation, because we're in this theatre. On the days of the Carnival, surely this place is going to be rocking.
Yeah, this place is multi-used as well. A lot of practices will happen in here as well. The odd dance.
Do you photograph in here then?
No, I don't. Not this particular space. Right. No, I'm out in the mush pit.
Be in here.
In the mush pit of humanity that are just oozing through the streets of West London. So that's where you would normally find
the second book title I'm taking from you: The Mosh Pit of Humanity.
So I think this year, I think I'm going to be approaching Carnival slightly differently. I'm going to be spending a little bit more time on some of the other aspects of Carnival, like Jab Jab and Juve. Juve, for example, it's almost like the Festival of Colour. So you're there with your camera and people are throwing around coloured paint all over the place, and you're really panicking because your cameras could get ruined.
That's a little bit like Holly Festival.
Yeah, it's a bit like that. So you see people just literally covered in paint and all sorts. So I'm going to invest in the odd bin liner or whatever, wrap my cameras up in there.
I used the X100 and I found the best way was cling film.
Cling film.
The only problem with cling film, as I found in India, is when it gets a bit warm.
Yeah.
That can be a problem, but it still means you can work all the buttons.
Work all the buttons. As I said to Wayne, Wayne's not a Fuji shooter, he's a Canon shooter, right? So literally it's the size of a Canon. And one of the things I said to him, I said, look, Wayne, if you had a little Fuji X100 5 or whatever, it's small enough to get just get a Durex and wrap it around in that, so you don't have to use a black bin bag, it's small enough to do that, and it's discreet.
Never thought about using that for...
Well, it gives added protection, shall we say. I'll do that at home, kids.
I want to end with a family question. This is a question I ask at the end of all my interviews, and you can take this on as a creative one, a life one, a carnival one, a human one. What's your why?
I suppose my why is show people life as I see it is my purpose. As I said, I'm a storyteller. I'm not a poet or a writer or a painter, although I do paint. I paint with light, to use that cliche. But that is my purpose. That's what drives me. That's what makes me feel alive. Yeah. That's my obsession. That's probably the second relationship in my life. Yeah, that is my why. That is my motivation. That's why I do what I do.
And that's it for this week. Big thanks to Wayne Crichlow for his time. I have a feeling, cue the song, we'll be returning to London to talk more with Wayne about his documentary work, alongside his co-author, Wayne Campbell. There are so many, honestly. Follow the links to his website and Instagram, both Wayne's actually, and you'll see the breadth of their social documentary work. So yes, I suspect we'll be returning, you and I, to walk with the two Waynes at different stages to talk more about their work in the future. Now, while the Notting Hill Carnival primarily celebrates Caribbean culture, as we've talked about today, it evolved into a highly diverse, multicultural festival. And I do hope that came through. And there is a decent West African representation too. And that's, well, the reason I'm telling you this is that's where I'm going to take you for the play-out song in a moment. Something beautifully alternative, for us that is, as we walk the path. African floats and sound systems regularly feature Ghanaian music. And I've chosen Yah Zara, who's a Ghanaian American singer, with a wonderful song in a second. It's got a very hypnotic feeling to it. I think sometimes if you listen back to the songs a few times that I have at the end of the show, you'll catch up with what I talk about when I say, oh, this one's dreamy, this one sort of, floats you along the path. This one today's got a hypnotic feeling. It's called Manifest, and we'll play it shortly. Wayne Campbell, as you heard, really headed up a lot of the written narratives within the book, including some powerful poetry. And as we head into our play-out song today, I'd like to read you part of Full Circle, written by Wayne Campbell, a kind of postscript poetry for the path.
You see, Carnival was our opus. Our boys to men, not kids. Strategically avoiding the stigma of Sundays with its colourful costumes, well-mannered crowds, mums and dads and sound systems that wouldn't play too loud. Mine out, we would bore through crowds, hardened sculptured ebony, shirts off, loud and proud.
I can feel it, I can hear it, I can feel it in my chest and almost see it. Oh, I smell it, so I think it's manifesting. Ain't no stressing, I be resting. Every lesson is a blessing. Ain't no guessing, ain't no question, 'cause I know it's manifesting. My techniques, they avant-garde. Tag hard, that's on my arm. Flow so unique, far and large. Pink and yellow, orange cards. Only speaking foreign bars. PK, the Audemars. Icon type, Maurice Lacroix. I'm the lady of the art. I don't sell my time, I buy it. Ain't no menu, I ain't Eve, Louis 13 in my hand. Hair is blowing in the wind. White teeth all in my beak. 1,000 threads up in my sheets. I like it silk, but make them chic. Louboutins, but make them peak. For a layer to the layer. Living lavish in the one. I'm giving savage cause it's fun. Now I'm rolling up my sleeves to check the time on my Philippe. OMG. I am trying to catch some Z's. As many times as they gon' eat. I want peace and they want trees. They don't sleep and they won't leave. It's too much heat. Did she just sneeze? What the heck did I just see? Homie dancing on his knees. It wouldn't change it for the world cause it's the life you won't believe. I can taste it, I can hear it, I can feel it in my chest and almost see it. Oh, I smell it, so I think it's manifesting. Ain't no stress and I be resting. Every lesson is a blessing. Ain't no guessing, ain't no question cause I know it's manifesting. I can taste it, I can hear it, I can feel it in my chest and almost see it. Oh, I smell it, so I think it's manifesting. Ain't no stress and I be resting. Every lesson is a blessing. Ain't no guessing, ain't no question cause I know it's manifesting. Come on!
The Photowalk is a Loading Zone production.